Alright, so I'm doing the fifth development goal, which is the HIV, diabetes, and other diseases. And so we're first going to go to my parents' house. This is where I'm from. This is Gilbert, Arizona. And this is my house. It looks like a normal neighborhood. And basically you would think that we don't have very many diseases. We get the flu in this season right now. We have, I don't know, maybe a couple bug bites because of the mosquitoes, or just normal diseases that we can get rid of very easily with just some medicines by going to Walgreens or something. And this is my developing world country, completely in between Australia and Hawaii, called the Marshall Islands. And the Marshall Islands contains of about 29 atolls, and we're going to go to Madro, which is where we're at now, and this is my house in Madro. This is where I got adopted into. It's on the very island, probably maybe a couple hundred feet from the water, which is basically right about there. And I mean, it looks nice. I'm sure. I mean, it looks nice. It's a good neighborhood, and it looks like normal houses. But from what I have been researching and looking about, it's not extremely well vaccinated at all whatsoever. The diseases in the Marshall Islands are basically hepatitis A and typhoid, and you can get these diseases because the food and water is contaminated, and wherever you stay, even though it looks like a good neighborhood, the food is just contaminated basically wherever you go. And if you're especially traveling, if you stay with your friends or relatives, visiting smaller cities or rural areas is very dangerous, and especially if you're a very adventurous eater. And so if you get these diseases, especially hepatitis A, you can be sent to the Madro Hospital, which is basically right beside my house. I specifically chose this house when I got adopted because I wanted to be extremely close to the hospital in case something happened to me or anyone in my family. People recommend the hepatitis A vaccine because you can get this disease through the contaminated food or water regardless of where you're at. And you can get Thai food from the same way. It's contaminated everything. And you get this vaccine, especially if you are staying with your friends and relatives, and the adventurous eater is a big problem. And vaccines prevent you from like normal diseases here that normal people get, but if you get these hepatitis A, these big diseases, then it's a very big problem. And the other hospital that you can be sent to is the Ebi Hospital, which is completely on another island. You can tell from this that is extremely far away, and it's just a very big public hospital. And there are diseases that don't have vaccines, and these risks that people might face here while traveling. And now risks may vary different areas in the islands, and in order to come to these hospitals to get the vaccines, they can't protect you from any diseases. So the certain behaviors and actions you need to take are eat and drink safely, very safely. Figure out what foods are very important and which ones are imported from other places, because there's a limited array of imported foods that have resulted in diabetes, heart disease, and other diet-related disease because of the food is contaminated. And so you need to eat and drink safely, prevent bug bites, stay safe outdoors, keep away from animals, avoid germs, avoid sharing bodily fluids, and know how to get medical care while traveling, and choose safe transportation. Because in more urban areas, there are vector-borne diseases, which are bug bite diseases, and that's dengue, which is a very big disease dealing with bug bites in Southeast Asia and the Caribbean. And so since there's a limited array of food, you need to be careful in what food you eat and all these different bug bites. Luckily, there's a good amount of children that have gotten immunized with the measles in the past 20 years, 90% of immunizations at the Madro Hospital. And the Marshall Islands has a very developed public health system. And so the two main hospitals are that. In the 29 atolls, there are only two main hospitals. There are an additional 56 healthcare centers located all over the different islands. but through medical evaluation and primary and secondary care, there are some patients that can get real help with the hepatitis A. And if it's a very big problem, you're referred to hospitals in the Philippines or Hawaii. And so there's a video that I want to show you that that will be in the next video, that will show what kind of diseases and how you can prevent some environmental problems by staying safe in certain areas, and that just stay safe and while you eat, because the contaminated food and water is a very big problem, and we need to help prevent this. And that's why I chose such a close place to the hospital, because it's very important that people I love are definitely safe.